All right, I'm recording on my mobile device, so we'll see how long this lasts.
Okay, I see it in the corner.
Um, all right, well, welcome everybody. Welcome, Miss Yates. I'm assuming Miss Yates is in Florida.
Yes.
Okay, yeah, obviously because she works with Carol. So it's good to see everybody. This we've got Gary and Tracy Northrup. This is the first time most of you guys have seen their face. Well, you saw Tracy, most of you guys at the seminar, but so that's Gary. Gary and I and Cameron and I think Mr. Dozier. We all get our hair cut at the same place.
Yeah.
So we're glad that those guys are on. I appreciate you guys letting the team see you guys. So, so we're going to kind of kick things off for this boot camp. And so if you're new here tonight, it's basically we're a bunch of rowdy people, rowdy rascals that want to get our financial freedom. And so we do that in a couple of different ways. So we do that through an offensive game plan, a defensive game plan, and then understand the playing field. And we're using this program that's the green box. Sherry, you want to hold that flyer up that you had there? That green box. Oh, Ron's got it. Okay, I couldn't see it there. So Ron's got the flyer. That's not the green box, but that's the little flyer that comes in the green box. And so it's a program that helps people get their finances squared away. There we go. I love it. Teams working together. You guys are taking care of my weaknesses here. So I appreciate that. I got one over there on the shelf, but I just don't want to change my setup here to go get it.
Hi, Holly.
Okay. Hi, Holly. How are you? Everybody's got Samsungs in Florida. What's up with that?
They give them away.
We're closer to Jesus down here.
Droid. Right?
Marcus,
Well, that's awesome. Well, welcome everybody to the call. Oh yeah, Bob's loving the whole droid thing going on right now. Bob's a droid enthusiast for sure. So, but welcome to the call. This is a virtual boot camp where we come together and everybody who's going through the green box or thinking about going through the green box, which is the financial fitness program, and helping us get our finances squared away personally, and then inspiring others to do the same thing. And so we've got people in Missouri, we've got people in Florida, and it won't be long. We'll have people in Colorado, right, Nancy? We'll have some people in Colorado plugging in before long.
You betcha.
And I'm pretty sure that Tracy's got some folks in Illinois she'd like to get plugged in too. So we're going to have a good time here tonight, and wanted to introduce, we've been talking about several different topics. We've been talking about the envelope system. Adam and Nicole Hapes did a great job explaining the cash envelope system. And then Cameron and Stacy did a great job as well explaining the tracker, which is a way that you can basically electronically keep track of your budget. It goes along with the budget sheets that you get in your fitness program, the green box. And then that's also a way that you can create a digital envelope system as well, as it's a live mobile app as well that you can access there too. So just helping each other stay accountable. And we were talking through like what's one of the next things that we could talk about. And Ron came up with the idea of talking about chapter 13, which is choosing a business. Because in our program, the financial fitness program, we cover more than just the defense, more than just how to spend less than you make. We also talk about how do I become an entrepreneur? How do I increase my income, which we consider that to be the offensive game plan. But if I can increase my income along with spending less than I make and having a consistent budget and staying committed to that budget, then I can really start to compound some things. If I can increase my income on a monthly basis, I can pay off debt faster. And so the traditional debt payoff that somebody might have, that could be, on average 10 to 15, sometimes even 20 years, which most people don't stay consistent that long. And so what we love about our program is it teaches us how to invest in ourselves and invest in this thing up here and into our mind and into our thinking. And Gary, Tracy, and Tiffany and I, as we sat down at their house in Brumley tonight, talked about that, where we help people get the information to go out and make better decisions in life. And so one of those things that we do is we help you understand the value of being a business owner. And through the financial fitness program, we actually offer a program that you can actually become a business owner and get cut in on all the commissions of the green box, and then all the personal, professional, and financial development materials that we offer. Gary and Tracy and I were talking about Dave Ramsey and how Dave keeps all the money. Well, in our program, all that marketing and advertising money that Chris and Warren would traditionally need to spend, they give back to us, that compensated community. And so we're excited to hear from Ron and Carol about choosing a business. And, there's some audios in the system that I'm sure they're going to reference. But it's funny because when I first met Ron, he actually butted in on a conversation that I was having with another guy in, I can't remember if it was Dick's or MC Sports. I think it was Dick's Sporting Goods in Orlando, Florida. And he said, leadership, man, I love leadership. And he just came on over. Ron Dozier, you'll love this story, because he just came in and invited himself into the conversation. And what's crazy, though, is the relationship that started between Ron and I and Hillary and Carol and both of us together as a couple, and then connecting us. A lot of different people that are on this call are because of that relationship with Ron and Carol moving forward. And it's funny because when I started sharing about the green box with Ron, and he had talked about, he'd done the Dave Ramsey stuff, tried to teach Dave Ramsey all this good stuff. He's already on a plan. He already had a game plan. He and Carol did to get debt free. They were already focused on that. And he says, hey man, I'm getting out of debt with or without you. Right? That's what he told me. And he definitely was going to do that, but he saw an opportunity to do that faster, and then to help a bunch of other people do that at the same time. But the interesting thing is Ron and Carol were not looking to own a business. They weren't. That was probably one of the furthest things from their minds. I think they had tried to own some businesses, some traditional businesses before, and it just didn't necessarily work out for them. But they just weren't looking to own a business. And what's crazy, though, is now they see the vision of Life Company and the financial fitness program and where we're going as a community, just setting people free in all different aspects of life. Today, they are excited about being business owners, and I'm sure they're going to give us some of that perspective on the call tonight. So we will open it up to some questions and things a little bit later. If you've got any questions during the call, put it in the chat. But I'm going to give this time over to Ron and Carol. And Hillary and I have just really enjoyed creating a relationship with them over the last, I think has it been a whole year? Mm-hmm. I think it was in April of last year. And so we're just excited about that relationship. So give it up for Ron and Carol. Take the floor.
Hello, everyone.
Hey, how y'all doing? Oh,
we're good.
Can't respond. My bad. I'm used to people responding back. My bad. Yeah, we appreciate it, Chris, and we appreciate it for your guidance and your leadership throughout the whole thing, and we appreciated you being there for us, you and Hillary and the kids, and you guys are great people, and we do appreciate this thing growing over time. I'm glad to have my lovely wife here with me.
Thank you.
And we're going to go into the cash flow quadrant. I know you said for questions. That's cool. I'm going to share my screen because we got a brief little visual. I don't have a problem with talking about it, but I think sometimes you can kind of add a little bit of visual stimulation because some of us learn a little differently. That might help it go down a little easier. So I can share my screen, right, Chris, and control it. I don't have to be the host, right? He's froze. Okay. I'll take that as a yes. All right. So I'm going to go ahead and share it anyway. I'm not hearing a no. Remember,
yes.
Yes. All right. Good job. Didn't say no. So I'm going to share this here. And let's see what we got here. Yeah, that's fine. Just to go over and share the screen with a little sound here. Yeah.
That's cool.
And full screen it out. So let's talk about the cash flow quadrant. Most of us that are involved have seen and or noticed. As a matter of fact, I just came from here's the book, one of the books, if you haven't seen it. If you do need to, obviously you can get it. If you hadn't gotten it already, we'd be happy to facilitate that for you. But it's a good book. Please get it. It's one of the series of his Rich Dad books, but obviously it's the one that we're going to lean on heaviest here because that's the one that we derive our, how you say it, the business system that was developed out of. So for those of you new people, that's where this generates from. Great book, excellent book to help you understand more about it. But the quadrant itself is a very basic system that Kiyosaki developed in the course of writing the book about the 4 legitimate ways that people earn money. And I mean, of course, the emphasis is on legitimate because some illegitimate ways are not in there. And 2 great CDs in, oh, you guys can't see me because you're seeing the screen. 2 great CDs to listen to if you haven't already. One, Choosing a Business by George Gazzardo. That's a pretty good one that talks about what kind of business to choose. And then 2 is Business Ownership and the Cash Flow Quadrant by Chris Brady. Don't sleep on Chris Brady. He's pretty good. But he said in there that the cash flow quadrant obviously lays out the legitimate ways of earning money. And I mean, we could go into a lot of illegitimate ways, but that's not important. So let's look at the 4 different ways. There's a left side, and then of course there's a right side. There's a left side and there's a right side. And this little line here pretty much represents a wall. And it's a wall between those of us on the left side and those on the right side. Most of us on this call, 90 to 95% of us, probably 99% of us on this call, are on this left side. We're either employees that have a job, we're self-employed, and we own a job. We're going to go into deeper detail in that in a second. We want to be, or we're striving to be, or we'd like to be, or we probably feel a lot more comfortable if we were on the right side, where we're a business owner, where we own the system, or we're an investor where the money's doing the work. And it's not just, the basics that we've heard. This is when it gets into the upper levels of stuff. So, so let's go on into where we at. The employee, wonderful. Most of us have to go to work Monday morning or sometime tomorrow or sometime in the near future. And I know we all are super excited about that. We all are super excited about going in and putting our time in and doing whatever job we got to do and making widgets and making phone calls and folding papers and teaching science or whatever it is. I know we all are super excited about that. But the employer is the person that has a job. And so let's look at somebody, a good little perspective of some employees here. And we got our little picture of the 7 dwarfs. And it's it's off to where we go. Now, when I found this picture, I found a couple of things interesting about this. Number one, this is a kid's story. So for those of you that probably not familiar with the matrix or probably not familiar with the financial matrix and its workings, it's very real. We are beginning to indoctrinate our society at the early age of going into work. But the thing that a person that's an employee has to do, they're trading their hours for dollars, meaning every hour you give performing a task or providing a service, you get paid a certain amount for that. Now, of course, there's benefits built into some employment situations. Some people get a little extra here, get a little extra there, get a little commission or whatever on that kind of situation. But the bottom line foundation to it is you're trading those hours for dollars. Every hour you work, every man hour you give, you get a certain amount of pay for it. Some of us is pretty high, some of us is a little low, some of us are places in between. You have limited to no freedom, meaning you're not a quote unquote physical slave to your job. But let's say you decide Monday at 10:48 that you want to go to the mall and walk around, or Tuesday at 9:31 you want to wash your car. Well, you don't have the freedom to do that if you're an employee and your employer requests that you be at work at that time. You have to be in a position where you're trading that hour or those hours for money, for dollars and cents. So you have limited to no freedom. Another aspect that I came across in thinking about is that your intellectual property or development is owned by your respective employer. Now, that sounds a little harsh and it sounds a little difficult, but in the industry that we're in public education, there's always the push and the strive for people to develop the silver bullet of student achievement or develop a better way of doing something. And you very well could. And there have been some very, very, very intelligent people that have done some very, very exceptional things in our field. But guess what? All those wonderful plans, all those wonderful assignments, all those wonderful things that get developed is property of the employer, property of that school district, or property of that corporation. You come up with a faster way to get your widgets off the line. That's great. But guess what? You're benefiting your employer. You might get some kind of fringe benefit off of it, a little bit here, a little bit there, but your employer and their profitability is going to be the one who's going to eventually get the bottom end of that.
And piggybacking off of what Ron just said, as far as the intellectual property, if many of you don't know, I am a teacher. I teach high school, and you all know that testing is a huge deal. So to kind of just make the story short, I taught a biology class, and every single one of my students that was attached to my name passed the test. I had a 100% pass rate.
Because she's really good.
Thank you. That's the dream of every principal, and that's the dream of every district. And as I broke the backs of my students and broke the back of myself for us to have that 100% passing rate, I didn't get an email. I did not get a letter of thanks. I did not get any type of money. I did not get any type of congratulations. I got nothing. And it really was that was about a year ago, year and a half ago. It was just that realization that with the employee quadrant, you're locked in, and sometimes no matter how hard you work or how little you work, you're not going to get any difference in that income that comes from that particular quadrant. There's no reward for you having a greater skill or talent versus someone else who might be doing the same job. Also, with the limited to no freedom, as a mother, I think about all the times that, our son was sick, as they're little and they're small, they're sick. And when I had to go to work, I had to basically balance, well, how sick is he? If he throws up 2 more times, then I'll take off of work. But if he only throws up once, then I'll still go into work because they need me there. But if he throws up close to 6 o'clock in the morning, I had to kind of have those types of conversations with myself. And I did not like that. I did not like the fact that I really was locked into needing to be somewhere and somebody expecting me to be somewhere at the expense of my family. And at the expense of what they needed. So those would be the downsides of operating entirely out of that employee quadrant.
And one other thing, I'm sure some of you guys have heard of Macy's and Sears and Radio Shack. I'm sure some of y'all that are a little bit older in years have heard of those places. Well, they about to not exist anymore. And so all those employees, hey, good luck with that. But the employee quadrant, yeah. Now, in her example, the school got a really nice grade. The district got a really nice situation. But,
sure did.
Hey, you as an employee get much. But we can talk in further detail on that. Let's go to the self-employed person, the S quadrant. Now, back at home, we got what's called the wet paper sack test. And the self-employed person is probably one that can get out of the wet paper sack faster than the rest of us. So they figured it out early. They said, what the heck with this? I'm going to go do this myself. I don't need nobody over me telling me what to do. I got this. So, self-employed person, you've got all the risk. And as you can see, my nice little illustration here is a Lego Superman, because I didn't want to use a real Superman. It's just too easy. So I use the Lego Superman. But you got all the risk. It all rests on his shoulders. You got more freedom than the employee. You don't have to wake up to an alarm clock. You don't have to quit at 5 o'clock. You don't have to go to work on Tuesdays. You can work Saturday morning from home. You got a little bit more freedom. But the difference is you're paid per task or per customer fulfilled. Meaning you may not get your money hourly, but every time you fill a task or every time you satisfy a customer, that's where your compensation comes in at. So in a sense, I think one of the explanations was you went from having one boss or one group of bosses to multiple bosses, anybody that walks through the door at any given time. You can see this in the restaurateur that's not doing well, or you can see this in the guy that's the pharmaceutical rep that's got to meet with X amount of clients in a day's time. Or you can see this in Superman. Think about Superman. He could be anywhere he wants to be on the planet at lightning speed, but when he's there, he's only in one place at one time. And yeah, he's Superman. He can do anything. Nobody can compete with Superman. He's still just one individual. He's still one guy, and he's still the only one that can do what he does because he's Superman. Your income has no ceiling, meaning, hey, you can potentially earn whatever you want to earn, whatever your customers or your clientele wants to pay you. And it also doesn't have a flow. You know, you can make as little as possible, up to nothing. You can even go in the hole if you like. But the problem is, as my upline Chris Dole would always say, you're still the magic. And you don't want to be the magic, as he would say. You want the system to be the magic. But the problem with you being the magic is when you stop, that's when the income stops. So Superman, although he probably didn't need a lot of sleep like we did, when he stopped saving the world wasn't being saved at that time. And as great as Superman is, I don't know, some of you guys may be a little close to Superman. I'm a Batman guy myself, you know, but when he stopped, it stopped. And I mean, if you look at the self-employed quadrant, that's how that is. They can't go any further than their own ability. Now, they may hire people, they may outsource or subcontract a few things and kind of expand and multiply the productive capacity somewhat and bring on the employees and create a very large situation. And at that point, you know, depending on the size and what they're doing, they can kind of systematize it and go into the other quadrant. But when it's a certain size, you're still the magic. You know, we've got he does work for very exclusive clients, and he does an exceptional job. It's the only job I've ever known him to do, and he owns his own company, and he's doing a great job. He's making a great income, doing a great job, got great connections and all this. But you know, and he's got a couple of employees, but at the same time, he's still out there doing it, and he's still spending his time to do it, and he's still the guy, the one that they want to see, the one that they want to talk to. And I mean, he's fully self-employed. It'd be very challenging for him to systematize what he's doing where he can step away from it and it continues on at the same pace. But, you know, he's fully self-employed. He's doing it.
One of the other downsides is if you are a self-employed, then if you have a certain standard or reputation, then if you happen to have employees, they would need to also rise to that level. And that's one of the challenges is you yourself may be an awesome owner or business owner, but let's say you hire 2 people or hire however many people, if they are not working to the quality that you are, then they can tarnish the reputation of your business. So if I'm baking cakes, maybe I bake 2 cakes a week, maybe I get up to baking 25 cakes a week. And so my business is amazing, but I have to bring in more people, and maybe my cakes are phenomenal, but the 2 or 3 other people that I hire, they're not sifting the flour properly, or they're not setting the ovens, or whatever else the quality is that my name is attached to. I am always worrying about when I send my employees out to represent me, will they do and love the business the way that I love it? Because my skin is in the game. My family is on the line. My future's on the line, because they themselves would now be my employees. So there's a different type of, I wouldn't say commitment, but buy-in to the success.
Kind of like old story. The animals cooked breakfast for the farmer that morning. The chicken was committed, but the pig was involved. I mean, the chicken was involved, but the pig was committed. So the self-employed person, he is fully committed. But, you know, if anybody gets a beat on Superman, I'd like to show him the plan, and I'd like to sign him up. He can definitely go get it with no problem, since how the guy doesn't need to use gas. All right, let's go to the other side of the quadrant, the business owner. Now, typically, and you guys can take a little moment to read the caption now. Typically, when we hear about a business system or a business thing coming at us, we kind of think about it like this little cartoon here. It's a chain letter, but it's a food chain letter. He says it's a wonderful money-making opportunity. Send $5 to me and send this letter to 20 of the animals lower down the chain. Those who break this chain will be eaten. Sincerely yours, King and CEO of the jungle. So we kind of think about it like that. We don't really think about it in terms of this is actually the very best way to make a living, to make money at a high degree. to maximize your time, to maximize your resources, to maximize your effort. A business system needs to do two things that we've been taught in the financial fitness program and through reading the cash flow quadrant. It needs to develop people or they have the ability to lead people, and you need to have leverage or ownership or control of a system. And obviously, you guys that are involved with life right now, we have both of those obviously involved here. We have unlimited, almost virtually unlimited personal development where you as a person can pretty much develop yourself in any area you so desire. So we do have a lot of information for that. And we have a system. We have a marketing system that you can leverage and a business system that's proven that can be leveraged to gather the details and to make yourself duplicatable in a lot of different areas. I've had the good fortune of talking with some people and talking with some former college mates out in California and some people in Georgia and just other states that there's no way I could have got to them without having some kind of systematic way of getting to them. There's no way I could have communicated with them at the time and at the place that I had it. There's no way I could have got information to them if I wouldn't have had a system in place that could do it for me. The income doesn't have a floor again, but it doesn't have a ceiling again. But the difference here is your system, I don't know why I keep doing that. Your system can be where you are not. It can work when you're asleep. It can work when you're on vacation. It can work when you happen to be in a hospital. It can work when, you are being lazy and you don't want to outpace the guy on the couch that day. Oh, it's because people are doing it. Okay, that's great. It can be in those places. So that's why a system is so much better for you. The results are predictable. If you look at any of the major businesses or organizations that are running on systems, they're going to pretty much predict the results they're going to get. McDonald's is going to predict that a Big Mac's going to come out the same way every time. Walmart's going to predict that you're going to come in and buy something with great value on it every time. These different places are going to be predictable, and they're going to operate based on those predictions. The other thing is that anybody that gets involved should be able to produce the same. And the beautiful thing about a business system, and especially the business system that we have, is that if you get involved and follow pretty much the steps that we're asking and pretty much the methodology that they're asking, you should eventually produce the same result as anybody else. You should be able to produce the result that you desire following a system, following the thing. Most of the work is done for you, so you don't have to be concerned about the overhead. Now, you can go to another side of the house and you can buy into a system. And by buying into it, you're saying you're buying into something that's already functional, it's already standard, it's already available and ready to go to market right now. Or you can take your time and build a system where you're developing it from scratch and you're basically starting from the ground up. Good luck with the second one. And I hope you got a lot of time and a lot of money to burn in research and development and finding out problems on your own, because that's pretty much what you're going to do. The other good thing about a system is you have exceptional mentors who have probably pretty much gone through the system and they have experienced the level of success that you're seeking to experience. They may not have experienced the level of success that they desire or that they want to be or they're satisfied, but they've gotten a little bit more success than probably you have at the entry level point. And so now you've got a mentor, or you had an availability of a mentor, let me say it like that, whereas you can go to this individual or individuals and they can walk you through how to operate the system so that you can get back to return. And you don't have to worry about breaking the food chain, letting getting ate up by the king of the jungle, because you've got somebody in there that's working to protect you. So a business system is pretty much a great way. Now, the difference between being on this side of the quadrant, which we're on the right side, and back to the left side is information. Go from the Superman and the Seven Dwarfs. These guys just don't have the right information. Now you go to the business side, and now you got a different level of information. You've got information that's changing the way you think, changing your perspective, changing your outlook. And I recently had a really great mentor tell me that from the neck down, we're all worth the same amount, but it's from the neck up that we, begin to assert our value in the world. And the other thing to this, and then I'm gonna move on to the last one, so y'all can ask questions, is that this is pretty much what drives our capitalistic economy. This is what drives what we do. Free enterprise is what has driven us pretty much as a nation from our inception, we kicked out the British because they wanted to tax us unfairly. They wanted to infringe upon our ability to have and to do on our own, because we can't, the people who came in to sell this country came to sell it to have the freedom to do as they please. And so free enterprise is what has driven this country to the point it is. And so the business system, or the business owner, the entrepreneur, is really the heart and soul and the foundation of the free enterprise system. That's what's going to develop a bigger, faster, better, stronger, more competitive product. And so to have people come out and to downplay this, you know, you're kind of downplaying what we started on. Now, I get all businesses are not created equal, and there are some scams and shysters and stuff in the world. You should be on guard for that. Just like this guy writing the letter. Clearly, he's talked to Mr. Ponzi about how to get over in the world. But if you know all things check out and you've got something that's developing people and leveraging the system, then it should be a pretty safe system to go into, whether it's ours or somebody else's. So the last quadrant is the investor. And I mean, you know, this is the quadrant where you got to take into account you have done well in one or two or the other three quadrants. You have gathered the information you need, and now you're able to go over and play in this quadrant. This quadrant is where money is doing the work. And, you know, I have to admit also that at one point in time, I thought I was an investor. I thought I was investing a little bit. When you taking my 3 and 4% of whatever $1,000 I had and putting it into something, I'm an investor. Well, no, you're not. You're playing around with a little bit of money in the market, and that's fine. But this is where another interesting point I came across was that your money becomes actual wealth. And I had to think about that for a minute. I'm like, okay, your money becoming wealth. I've got money, or we have money, or you got money stored away somewhere. But is it wealth? Meaning, can that money make something happen and make something move for you without you having to do it? And I liken it to the situation of, if I walk into the, well, I don't want a foreign car. If I walk into the Ford dealership tomorrow and I say, hey, I want the Saline Mustang, the one you got right here on the showroom floor, and it's, I don't know, $60,000. Oh, no, I got a better one. I went the other day because I was doing a little dream building. So I walk into the Chevy dealership and I look at the Silverado Black Ops that's totally blacked out, Z71 pack with the 20-inch tires and all this good stuff. I'm talking about just drop dead gorgeous now.
That's
so
me, right?
I don't care. You can have it as long as I can get in there. I don't mind where is that, as long as it's sitting in the driveway. But and it's $58,500 sticker price. I could walk in there and say, I'll take 2 of them like this, and they're gonna look at me and be like, well, who are you? And I'm like, I'm me. Let's get 2 of them. They're gonna say, we need a little bit more than that. However, Shaquille O'Neal walks in and he says, I'll take 2 of them. Well, everybody knows that he has money. He doesn't have to pull a single pen, dime, dollar bill, wallet out of his pocket, because they know his money is going to speak for itself. So his money has just become wealth at that moment, where he can use that wealth, and they'll say, no problem, Mr. O'Neal. We'll have him dressed up and ready for you in about 20 minutes. This is that quadrant where you take money, you put it into the market, or you put it into something else or somewhere else, a different investment vehicle, maybe outside of your business, or reinvest it back into your business, and it begins to do work for you. If the desire for somebody to become rich, you got to go to this quadrant. And most of us on the call have a desire to maybe not necessarily be filthy, stinking rich, where, you know, you just dropping $100 bills all over the place. But we have the desire to have a little bit more than what we have now. And obviously, if you start down that path, as you get more, you see that there's more, you have more opportunity, more influence to now benefit a lot more people. It's going to behoove you to say, well, if I can benefit 10 times the people making 10 times the amount, then I probably can benefit 100 times the people making 100 times the amount, and so forth and so on. So it's going to come in this vehicle where you put the money that you earn from your business to work, and now it begins to multiply itself just based on the capacity that you have.
And I want to kind of pull this back with the investor quadrant back to the green box, back to the financial fitness system. It is very clear within the book that they show you how to slowly build toward that towards being in that quadrant. A lot of people want to just jump into that quadrant and take the money that should be going to knocking off their debt or should be going to taking care of an emergency fund, and they want to throw it into the investor quadrant. But when you go back to the green box, which is where it gives you the very, very practical tools of where you are with your money and what you should be doing, different steps along the way, it gives you very, a lot of caution in the sense of before you take the money that needs to go to, buying a pair of shoes because your other shoes have holes in them. Before you take that money and throw it to become an investor, you need to make sure that you have some other safeguards in place. So as you go through that green box and as you go through the financial fitness suite, then you will see how it will pull you back so that there is not that risk that you may see some people do when they just toss money into different ventures and then they have lost that and then now their family suffers or something very vital suffers. So that financial fitness system is going to be your guide as far as when it will be a good fit or time for your family unit to invest and what portions of your money that you should invest as well.
And if you are on the other end of it and you've done well and you're not struggling or having a lot of complications with your day-to-day finances, you're doing all right, then we do have the Beyond Financial Fitness for that particular type of clientele who have done well, who've learned some things, who've applied them, and who've gotten the results. That now will come back and be a healthy program and information guide to point you in the direction of what we consider low to high risk investments if you so desire. Nothing says do or don't do it. It just says, hey, we consider this low risk, we consider this high risk based on the research and the time and the evidence that they've shown. So I'm going to stop sharing the screen now and go back to video. And, I'll just say, where's the book at? I see the book.
This one?
Yeah, because, we have the book in our hands and we read all of it. We can answer all your questions now. If you just want to start asking, go right ahead. We'll answer all of them, every single one of them. No question is off limits. Seriously.
That was awesome, Ron and Carol. I don't have a question right now, but I just want to say that real quick while everybody's thinking through what their questions are.
Fine, I'll ask a question. Here's my question. I've been in the employee quadrant for so long. I've been in it for so long. Where do I start just trying to get information to cross over to the right side of the quadrant?
Well, Ron, I can tell you from experience, I was afraid to leave the employee quadrant. That's what I knew. That's what I was taught to do. You be a good employee, you do your very best, and there was honor in that. But as I got into life leadership and I started reading about the economy and finances and how everything pretty much is stacked against you and how they want to enslave you in debt for the rest of your life and then tax you after you die. And all of those things, I realized that that employee quadrant is going to have me working in my elderly time. And so I had to face that fear of leaving the employee quadrant. But how did I face that fear? I had to get around people who understood a different way of thinking. I had to get around people who saw things differently than I did, who saw money differently than I did, who saw the economy in a different way. And how did I do that? I got myself in an environment and in a community where people began to think like that. I would show up to work every day and the people would think the same way. So that wasn't the place where I was going to get that information. So I got into all of the audios of life leadership and the different types of books and whatever it might be. That is how I began to reshape and retool my mind and my thinking. I read the Castro Quadrant several years ago, and I was like, oh yeah, that's an awesome book. And I put it on the shelf and it did nothing for me because I wasn't ready for it. And so when I picked it up, I just finished it last month. And I'm just like, oh my gosh, this is so awesome. It was like I never read it before because my mind had been adjusted. And I mean, it's just when you really begin to see how much it stacks against you, and yet you are well able to shift over with work, with time, with a mindset shift. Let me say all that very carefully. You actually just begin to, it's like you just like, I don't know, like in this blanket, and then you just kind of begin to punch through the blanket and you're like, I'm getting the heck out of here. So it's a complete mindset change. And Robert Kiyosaki himself says that it doesn't matter. You can be a professional basketball player and you can still be an employee. So it doesn't matter how much money you make. It's not because an employee makes $10 an hour, but a rich person makes, $200,000 a year. It doesn't matter what comes into your house. It's how you see money and how you allow money to operate for yourself. That's how you begin to shift from the one quadrant to the next.
But I saw Sherry biting her nails, and I kind of think I know what she meant when she was biting her nails. I think she was thinking, but that big fancy college degree that I got on the wall, is it telling me that it's worthless and I'd spent all this time and money for nothing? I should have just started reading this stuff and applied it earlier. Is that kind of what you're saying here? Because I like my college. I had a lot of fun in college. Spent a lot of money in college, but I had fun. I did all this stuff, and I went to school. It's what they told me to do, and I went and I sat and I wrote the papers and I studied for the finals, and I came back after spring break and I came back after Christmas, and I didn't get a job and all this other stuff. So I did all this for nothing. Like,
well, Ron, let me address that. I will say this, this is a different type of education. And so there may be a particular person that needs to get some type of specific formal degree. And so you have to go through the avenue of a trade or college. And if that's the lane that you know you're going to go in, debt and all that kind of stuff. But this is a different type of education. And so as I said to myself, when I started this, I said, this is going to be hard. I don't think like the people in these books think. However, I never questioned going through 4 years of college. I never questioned the sleeping on the floor of the library and going to class. Yeah, we were nerds. And then doing, I never questioned 4 years with nothing until I finished those 4 years. And yet, if I can do that for 4 years and not question that and then get some type of degree, then how much is it for me to dedicate 2 months to changing my mind, or 6 months, or 1 year, however long it's going to take for you to reshape your mind? How much more is that for you to reshape your mind? And then imagine after 4 years of this, where are we going to be? I mean, what are we going to have? What kind of income stream is going to come in? So I am saying, and I'm not saying that we're getting out, but what I'm saying is if I can give that 4 years, then the least I can do is do this for 4 years and just line it up, degree to life leadership, and see which one panned out more for me.
Okay. Well, I'm a little afraid because all this stuff sounds really uncomfortable. It's not going to have to do a lot of weird stuff that's going to put me in front of people and be all embarrassed, because, it's really comfortable and cool to just say, hey, I got my degree and I'm going to go to my job and I'm going to move up in my company and I'm going to get a great parking space and I'm going to get a nice office where I can oversee like 4 trees that they planted out there. And they plant trees here. I don't know, Missouri might be a little different, but, I'm going to get all that great stuff. Why do I need to learn about that? I don't want to be out there, selling widgets and walking up to people, asking them to fill out surveys and, trying to give somebody an extended warranty on their car that's already 15 years old. I don't want to be out there doing all that stuff. I just want to go because it's acceptable. It's cool. Everybody, likes it. And I went to school and I got my group and I got my fraternity or sorority. I got all this stuff. Why do I need to get into this? What's the point of that?
Oh,
this guy's he's all quacky anyway, man. Who cares? He made the Velcro wallet. Oh well, so what? Why should I listen to him? What does he know?
said a lot of different things.
Yeah, no, I did. That's a lot of stuff on purpose. I'm joking around, but the point is, I didn't sleep on the floor of the library either. That's,
I did.
Yeah, you did.
And guess where it got me?
That I married up. Not a secret there. But the point of the issue is, if I'm gonna give that kind of time and dedication to a pretty much failing system,
yes.
which it's not failing because we don't see the failure, but you got to think about it like this. If you're cranking a person out of the University of Washington and they're at 75 grand in the hole for going there, and they're going to get a job that starts them out at 62 grand. That person's already $13,000 under starting out, not to mention anything they're going to buy or do anything like that. So what we're saying is, we're not saying not to do any of that stuff and not to go and not to go to college and all this other stuff, but have a plan on the front end. I was just talking to my group on Saturday nights, the guys there, and I was just saying that, guys, hey, just prepare. Just start preparing ahead of time. Nobody's saying you got to make a whole life change right now, but just prepare ahead of time for what you see coming down the road. And every one of us is going to have to come face to face with this at one point in time. So, good questions. Any other questions? Because like I said, we read the whole book and we can answer all your questions. Read the whole book, the whole thing. I even read the other book. Looks like you have a question. I have a question. Where's Joe Gleason? That's who I'm missing.
Yeah, Joe, he'll be around.
All right, good.
His
good,
back's
good.
been bothering him.
Yeah, I know.
Well, great job to you guys. That I tell you what, you guys might be the next Mark and Christine Militello.
They're
A little different.
Yeah, just a little bit different, but still teachers.
Yeah.
Still teachers for sure. So, because I'd probably speak for everybody on the call tonight, but you guys did an amazing job. You guys just worked together as a team really well.
Thank you.
And definitely, Ron, you definitely married up, brother. I'm telling you what.
I'll sign off on that in blue ink, man. Don't worry about it.
How does he do? What does President Trump do?
What?
No, he doesn't.
Oh,
President Trump. What does he do with his hands?
He does all kinds of things with his hands, right? Like, it's crazy. It's crazy. So, well, great job though, guys. Going through that. The other way I kind of explained that is the parable of the pipeline for sure. Well, we don't have a whole lot of time to get into that here tonight, but if you're on the call tonight and you love what you do as an employee, or if you're self-employed, that's great, because we love that too. And because I think even Sherry mentioned in there that she wants her doctor to have a degree, and we definitely want that for sure. If you love what you do, that's great, and we have a lot of information and resources to help you be the best at what you do. And that's where, by all means, not knocking jobs and all that stuff. We've all had jobs, but not knocking college either, or college education. But I also think that as I think back at how I'm going to work with my children, my oldest is 9. I've got 5 kids, and I'm not going to be opposed to them going to college, but I'm just going to I'm going to make sure that they've got a good game plan. Both my sisters, I literally believe both my sisters went to college to find a husband. Like, that's literally what I believe they did. They both got degrees in, air fields that they likely would never get a very sustaining job. Nothing against that. That was just kind of what you did whenever I graduated from high school still. Both my older sisters, that's just kind of what happened. That's just kind of what you did. But times have changed. And I think that Robert Kiyosaki's book, it was well ahead of its times with what's going on in the educational system and stuff here today. Also, it's funny, I had a buddy who's a really successful self-employed business owner, and he's in he's in the hunting industry. He sells guns and stuff too. And over the last probably 5 years, his business has just been exploding. And I was talking to him Oh, it was probably 3 years ago or so. I was talking to him when the big, the big gun scare was happening. It was probably 4 years ago because that's the last presidential election. And there was a big scare about guns and freedom and all that stuff. And his business skyrocketed. They couldn't sell enough ammo. They couldn't sell enough guns coming out of the place. And he says, you know what, Chris, it's crazy. My business is selling more, making more money than it's ever made. But after I pay the taxes, I literally haven't made that much more. I'm working my guts off trying to make this thing work and be successful. And the market takes off. And then all of a sudden that puts me into a different tax bracket. And all of a sudden, so and there's give and takes to all that stuff, just like what you were talking, Carol, having to scale up. And it's that right side that is so amazing. And Ron, do you mind sharing your screen again real quick on the ESBI? Did you make a Prezi for this?
I might have had a little time.
That was impressive. You volunteered yourself to be the full-time presenters of the boot camp here, the virtual boot camp.
That's awesome. I'm all in.
So you're all in, but on the left side over there, right, the employee self-employed, we're exchanging time for money. And the key is that we are the only ones that can leverage our time. We're the only ones that can invest that time. And then on the right side, the B-type business owner and the investor, that's where you can have time and money at the same time because you can leverage a system. And what Robert Kiyosaki says one of the keys is a system that develops people. And when you look at the green box, you look at life and professional and personal development of what we do, that's exactly what we do is we develop systems and we develop people. And that's what we're excited about. And what's great about that is as an employee of a company, I'm on the left side, but I'm starting to educate myself to think like those that think on the right. And Hillary and I are on a path, like many people on this call here tonight, to leverage a system that's greater than ourselves. We'll invest time and money for a system that creates time and money. And that's ultimately, I think, what the true American dream is and was. And because when we all think about what our goals and dreams were when we were younger, they all had to do with having time and money, right? And obviously if there's any big causes and things like that we want to focus on, that all can be bigger and better with time and money as well. Because somebody's got to pay, right? Somebody has to invest money or pay money, donate money to help a missionary travel, right? To send somebody on a mission trip, all these things, or somebody has to have the available time to do it, right? And so that's what we just love about what we do. So any questions, guys? I'm going to take one last glance in the chat. It's a little bit difficult for me to do it on my phone here. Yep. Beyond the Financial Fitness Pack. Yeah, my buddy Lee definitely needs that, Luke, for sure. Okay, I'm not seeing any specific direct questions right now other than trees don't see. It looks like there's a debate about whether lighted trees can see or not in the chat there. But great job to you guys, Ron and Carol. It looked like you had a couple other folks join on. Do you want to introduce them real quick, Carol?
Well, I had one of my coworkers, Miss Elaine Yates, is here. I think her screen is shaded out, but I think she's still here. And I think my other friend Giselle is here. If I think that's the 98 one, I'm not sure. So welcome to the call. And just by coincidence, we happen to be talking. We're not superstars or anything. And we are people like everybody else. We're just encouraging each other as we go through this fight to kind of help push each other along and keep each other accountable. And that's what it is. We are wanting to arrive together. And so we're all here to help support each other.
That's awesome. Who is Samsung 870? I'm sorry. That's Holly and Alan Whitmire.
I was trying to read
Oh.
which one it was. And those are also some of our friends.
That's
And
awesome.
thank you guys for coming to the call as well.
That's awesome. Hey guys, welcome to the call. Thanks so much for joining in. It looks like let me think through this a little bit. I'm trying to think through. I think our next boot camp is probably going to be, obviously we won't have one during the major. I don't have my calendar out here right now, but we'll definitely communicate the next boot camp and when we're going to do that. So obviously the 8th, we will not have one because that's the seminar. And then obviously the weekend of the major convention, we won't have one either in April 20th, 22nd, that time frame. So great job, guys. Appreciate you. And we will see you guys next time in the virtual boot camp. Have a good one.
Thank you, everybody. Good night.
Thank you, guys.
Hey, Ron and Carol, you guys still on?